that cinematography and that like set design that is so opulent, the characters being so extravagant in their acting, the dialogue being so over the top too, and they're all bigger than life historical characters.
Right.
Like, who hasn't heard of Cleopatra, Mark Antony, or Julius Caesar? What's up, everybody? I'm Rick.
And I'm Anna, and welcome to our review of the 1934 movie Cleopatra. For those of you who are new here, hi, welcome, please subscribe. This channel is a channel dedicated to Rick and mine bucket list of 101 goals and dreams that we hope to accomplish in our lifetimes. One of those goals is to watch every movie nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
It's a mouthful.
Yes.
Yeah.
From 1927 to 2028, that is 101 years of Best Picture, Academy Awards nominees and their respective winners. And today we're going to keep working on that goal. We have watched the 1934 movie Cleopatra, and this is our review of it. So the way this review will go is that we are going to have a spoiler-free conversation at first, where we are going to give our top-level appreciation and some thoughts about the movie without spoiling any of it. And afterwards, we will have a spoiler-filled conversation in which we will discuss more in detail certain scenes, certain aspects of the movie. But do not worry, if you don't want to be spoiled, we will warn you before the spoiler section so that at that point you can leave the video, or so that you can go to the timestamp in the description box below to skip directly to the ranking, which is at the end.
Ranking, yes.
At the very end, where we rank all the movies of each year. So right now we are doing the ranking of 1934 movies.
Which is the 7th Academy Award year.
Right, the 7th Academy Award year. So we have actually already finished 7 years with 2019. This is the 8th year that we're doing, but the 7th Academy Award year. And today we have watched and reviewed on this channel 46 movies.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes. And we have also discussed about one lost movie, The Patriot. It is lost. We could not have watched it or review it, but we did discuss about it.
Still can't find it.
Nope, that is nowhere to be found.
It's not there.
But before all of that, we will start with the classic trivia section.
Trivia.
So, Cleopatra, the 1934 movie, is a Paramount Pictures film. Came out on August 16, 1934. As far as I can tell, it is based only on historical facts. But when researching information about the movie, I did find that it is based on Bartlett Cormac's adaptation of historical material, which I'm not exactly sure what it means.
It must be the writer, no? Of the movie.
Right, so he did some historical research based on which then he wrote the movie.
His version of historical events.
Right.
Which we'll get to.
We'll get to it. The movie was directed by Cecil B. DeMille.
Cecil, do you know Cecil B. DeMille, Anna?
No, I don't.
You don't? Very famous for a movie that I've watched a million times that we are going to watch in a couple of years because it's far. I think it's like 1956 or something. The Ten Commandments.
Oh yes, I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
Oh, it is a long movie. It's a big epic movie like this, the type of movie.
But going back to this movie,
Yeah.
It stars Claudette Colbert as Cleopatra, whom we have also seen in
Oh, I don't know.
The Smiling Lieutenant. She's Francie,
Okay.
the girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, now that you say it, yeah.
Yep, that was her. It also stars Warren Williams as Julius Caesar, whom we have also seen in
I didn't recognize any of these, huh?
Lady for a Day. He was Dave the Dude.
Oh, really?
Right, I didn't recognize him either when we watched the movie. I only
It's the
saw it
mustache.
yeah, it changes everything.
Yeah.
Next one is Henry Wilcox as Mark Antony, and it also stars Ian Keith as Octavian. So these are the characters, the actors that I pulled out of the list that I feel like appear more in the movie.
Yeah.
There was a big cast for this movie, really big, but a lot of the characters were only in the background or
Yeah, there for a few scenes, one or
Right.
two scenes, yeah.
So, Cleopatra, like you mentioned, it's an epic movie, an epic film. It was one of Paramount's biggest hits of the year when it came out. However, the reviews that I could find about the movie were a little bit contradictory.
Like mixed reviews?
Mixed reviews, exactly. For example, Morton Hall from the New York Times called it one of the director's most ambitious spectacles. And Film Daily called it a sumptuous historical drama with a strong cast. On the contrary, also from the New York Times, John Mosher wrote that even as an extravaganza, it's moderate, and called the dialogue the worst I have ever heard in the talking movies.
In the talking movies?
Yes. Despite all of that, Claudette Colbert's performance in Cleopatra was named the movie highlight of the year. The movie was nominated for 5 Academy Awards. One of them is Best Picture, which is why we have watched it and we are reviewing it right now. It was also nominated for Best Sound Recording, Best Film Editing, and Best Assistant Director, which it didn't win, but it did win one of the nominations, Best Cinematography.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can see it too, totally. Also, fun fact here, Best Film Editing is the first year when this Academy Award is being offered. Some more interesting facts about the movie. So apparently the movie was very difficult to film because of the lead actress' physical condition, medical condition. She had just had an appendix surgery.
Oh, yeah?
Which made her unable to stand for more than a few minutes at a time. And the heavy costumes that she had to wear for some of the scenes made it even more difficult.
Now I think about it, she's sitting a lot of the time.
She's sitting and lying down a lot of the times in the movie. So apparently that is why. And also Colbert raised another issue when filming the movie, in that she had a fear of snakes.
Oh.
Which, well, it is not a spoiler to say it. It's a historical movie and a lot of people know Cleopatra's death.
Yeah.
So it made filming that scene very difficult. Apparently, when they had to film the scene, the director walked on set with a boa constrictor wrapped around his neck while handing the actress a small garden snake.
Just to like ease her into it?
Yes, exactly.
Like, here's a couple of smaller snakes and a big snake.
No, yeah, like he had this very large snake around his neck while she only had the tiny one. So yeah, the lengths that some would go to to be able to shoot a movie. So that is it for the information that I have about the movie. So let's move into our spoiler-free conversation. So Rick, tell me, what did you think of this movie?
This movie, I'm going to say I liked it, and I think a big reason why I liked it is because I have seen Cecile's movie, The Ten Commandments, so many times. When I was young, as I grew up, like every year on Easter, it's just on TV. And as a kid, when you have nothing else to watch, you watch that 4-hour movie every time. And I came to love it so much, you know. And this movie reminded me of that, and because of that, I love it. I will not argue with whoever the writer from, I think, the New York Times was saying, like, that the dialogue was a bit iffy. The dialogue is very much over the top. In a lot of ways, it's almost like Shakespearean, almost a bit too, like, people don't talk like that.
Right.
But that's how the Ten Commandments is also, and I love it for that.
Okay, I see.
It's entertaining to me. So yeah, no, I love this movie.
Yeah, I also found it like very interesting to watch. I don't know much about the actual history of like Egypt, Cleopatra and all of that, but frankly I doubt that this movie is historically accurate.
If you follow the big lines, you know, headlines,
yes.
Or tweets, you know, 28 characters. How much is a tweet nowadays? 248 characters. Anyway, like short synopsis, like you could kind of get away with saying that this movie follows the big headlines of what happens, you know?
Yes. So the major historical events are there.
Kind of and kind of not,
okay.
You know? Because if you dig a little bit, you know, if you go further than those 200 characters, if you go to 300 characters even, just a bit further, it all falls apart.
Okay, I see.
You know?
I see.
There's a lot of moments in the movie that, like, okay, this didn't happen like that, but it's a movie, you know? And
right.
I think when it comes to historical, quote-unquote, historical movie or a movie based on a historical event, you always have to think in terms of what is the goal here? Did they ever came forth, the director or the production company, saying, we're trying to make this movie about the real life history of Cleopatra, Julius Caesar, and Mark Antony as accurate as possible. If they did, then you could fault them for like cutting corners in a lot of events and changing some other events so that it fits their narrative. If they didn't, and they just said we wanted to use those characters and their historical events, which are, like I said, and the big lines the same, and make an interesting movie out of it, then can you fault them for doing that?
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's not the purpose of a movie to be like 100% historically.
It's to entertain.
Accurate, right? It's to entertain. This is not a documentary. It's a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I was watching it, I couldn't help but ask myself all the time, like, is this really how it happened? Is it? Because like I said, I don't know much about it. I only know I know those like big titles, headlines, points, whatever you want to call them.
This is what happened to Julius Caesar. This is what happened to Mark Antony. This is what happened to Cleopatra.
Exactly.
These are all kind of respected, and so it's not outrageous but still, it's not historically accurate 100%.
As for the dialogue and the script in general, I thought that it wanted to be something majestic, something great. Like, even the term that they use to describe movies like this, which is an epic picture, an epic film, it's everything wants to be epic. The scenes they shot, the performances, the dialogue, like I said, the script, everything is just like exponentially...
It's over the top, yeah.
Yeah, fancier and bigger and grander than it needs to be.
But that's the director style, and I like it. And it's the same with the scenes, like without spoiling anything in terms of plot. The scene in the boat,
right.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Like, this is so majestic, so grandiose, so over the top.
I love that scene. It
why?
Was my favorite.
There's not really any real reason why. It's just, to showcase that opulence, to showcase that.
Yes. This movie, I think it succeeds in anything, it succeeds in creating an atmosphere that you can just get lost into. Mm-hmm. That is so overwhelming and fills the screen and it fills your eyes when you watch it. Uh-huh. And it's great. And I love it for that. I thought it was a very interesting movie to watch, very entertaining.
But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and argue with anyone who tells me the dialogue is kind of iffy or some of the characters play it a bit too over dramatically. These are all good points, but I don't care, I was watching the movie and I was like, yeah, no, I'm having fun here.
What did you think more specifically of the performances?
Yeah, well, that was what I was alluding at a second ago. A lot of it is a bit over dramatic from everyone's part, but I think that's the direction they were given, and that's what they did.
I think so too. I think that's how it was meant to be. Mm-hmm. I think that they did a really good job. I love the way the characters were portrayed. It's not necessarily to make you relate to the characters. It's more to showcase their world.
Yeah, exactly.
And their personalities and their history and everything.
Because of that cinematography and that set design that is so opulent, because of the characters being so extravagant in their acting, and because of the dialogue being so, over the top too, you can never really feel like any of these people are real, especially because they're all bigger than life historical characters.
Right.
Who hasn't heard of Cleopatra, Mark Antony, or Julius Caesar?
Yes.
And so you can't ever really connect on an emotional level with any of them, and that might be a fault of the movie. But I think all of the rest is intended. That's what they were going for. That kind of feel.
Yes.
Obviously, that New York Times writer didn't like it.
So we pretty much touched on all the topics that we can talk about without spoiling. So in the end of this, would you recommend this movie?
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend it. I think it's a entertaining movie. One of the first role of a movie is to entertain, unless there's other goals, to teach or to educate, etc. But to entertain is usually why you watch a movie, and I was entertained. So yeah, go watch it. Go get some good entertainment.
Right. I would recommend it too. I think it works great, like you said, for entertainment, but also I feel like it's a important movie to watch in terms of cinematography history.
Yeah, definitely.
To see how they managed to put on a movie like that of this scale. Overall, I do recommend this movie. I think it's a very interesting movie to watch. So without further ado, if you do not want to get spoiled, don't forget to click on the timestamp in the description box below that will take you at the end of this video to the ranking part. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Tell us if you like this movie or if you're interested in watching it. And for us, we will move to the spoiler section of this video. So for the spoiler section, I'm gonna open it by reading the synopsis of this movie. The man-hungry queen of Egypt leads Julius Caesar and Mark Antony astray amid scenes of DeMillean splendor. So I found it interesting that the director's name is mentioned.
Has an adjective?
No, I mean is mentioned in the synopsis of the movie.
Yeah.
The director is not part of the synopsis, like of the story of the movie.
But it's because he has such a specific style, you know, that you can see it through. Like when I was saying as I was watching it, that it reminded me of Ten Commandments because the style flashes through the screen so much. You're like, oh, this is the same guy that did these movies. Okay. Definitely. It's like a Cronenberg or Hitchcock, like people who really put their personality into a movie, you know, Tarantino. And so it becomes relevant to say, you know, this is a Cronenberg movie. And then
right.
you see what that means.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So I have to tell you, I don't really know where to start the conversation about this movie. It's just like it's so big and there are so many elements.
Yeah.
But I think where I do have questions, and I'm curious to hear your opinion about it, is actually Cleopatra's character. What do you think of that?
I think her character, well, I know we had that whole thing about like historical accuracy earlier and like how the movie doesn't have to be historically accurate. I think even if you go with that state of mind that like it doesn't really have to 100% follow historical events and historical description of characters, they still could have made her a more, how do I say, nuance is not really the term I'm looking for. Let's say it like that. I feel like her character is too dependent on the men around her.
Yes,
rather than like being a character in her own right, a powerful character in her own right, which she was as Queen of Egypt.
Yeah,
you know?
I think so too. And that's the part that really is the only part of the movie that I kind of have issues with, is that I don't really agree with the depiction of her character. Which is not to say because, sure, like you said, the big events of the movies, like the fact that she seduced the two men, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, those are events that did happen. But the way she's presented, even in those scenes, it doesn't feel like a powerful woman seducing a man. It feels more like she's either dependent on him or needs him, or in the end actually becomes like less interested in her own purpose and more interested in him just as a man.
Yeah.
Which is something that I don't think fits with her character.
Definitely at the end of the movie, you know, when Mark Antony is sure to lose against Octavian, you would think that she would have a bit more, I don't know, like distress for the fact that she's about to lose her country, lose her kingdom. But no, she cares way more about the fact that like Mark Antony is going to die. You know, it only becomes about that. Even though throughout the rest of the movie, they make it seem like, oh, she's only doing these things so that she can, you know, retain the rule of Egypt, one, but two, to also protect the people of Egypt from the Roman Empire. But even in those cases, it is always in terms of, like you said, dependence.
Yes, even in the first romance that she had with Julius Caesar, when in the end he dies, she's devastated.
Yeah, devastated, and in a large part because she says like, "Oh, he never loved me, really." You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it feels like she cared more about that than about the fact that she lost her an ally for her country.
But these are all like supposed to be big political affairs.
Yes.
Yeah. And even the way the movie starts, you know, with her being sent to the desert and then having to come back and
in the rug. Oh, that is like a classic scene.
Yeah. But the way they start the movie with like this conflict between her and another man who aspires for the throne of Egypt, and then she separates herself from that man to go attach herself to another man, Julius Caesar. Once
Right.
Julius Caesar is taken care of by his own people, then she separated herself from him to attach herself to another man. It's always like her in relation to someone else. Even when Mark Antony is losing, she goes see Octavian, not to attach herself to him, but like to plead with him.
Yeah.
She never takes a decision just by herself.
Yeah,
It's
I see what you
in
mean.
relation
Like
to
she
someone
never
else.
does something
That has
by
nothing to do
herself,
with the,
yeah.
the man around her.
Yeah, like I said, this was my major issue with the movie was her personality. But beyond that, even with the personality that she was given in this movie, I felt like the actress did a great job at interpreting this character. I really liked it.
But yeah, like I said, performance is so over the top. A lot of time you felt like you were watching a theater play,
Yeah, I agree. I did like in particular the sets, just the way it looked. Like every set on the boat.
Oh yeah, we talked about that
Right,
that
or
boat scene.
even when she's when she arrives in Rome, I always thought that the scenes are so they feel heavy in a way, but in a good way. They're filled with so many details, with so many elements. It almost feels like if they were in color, it would just like be an explosion.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not in color. Obviously, it's black and white, so you can only imagine it. But even just black and white, it still feels like it's filled with so many elements.
I mean, I'm not surprised that it won the Academy Award for cinematography because, like, all of these scenes, like the cinematography in this movie is excellent. Yeah.
So, are there any scenes in particular that you want to talk about?
Yeah, no, that's the thing too. Like, and I'm not surprised again that they mentioned the director when they talk about the synopsis, because when I think back on this movie, there's not really a particular scene that jumps at me. Well, there's the boat scene because of how grandiose it is. And in a way, oh yeah, maybe we can talk about that. The fight scenes, when they depict the war
yes.
between Egypt and Rome, I thought that was also a very interesting way to do it with the material and technology they had at the time. It's kind of, they do it through a montage because obviously, they couldn't do a big CG two armies facing each other like they would do today. It gets the message across. But anyway, back to the point that I was trying to make is that when I think back on this movie, these are the scenes that jump at me, The big scenes, the walk through Rome, the boat, the war, because of the flair and because of the personality given to the movie by the director, Even the direction of the actors come to mind, but not any particular story event.
Right. I feel like these scenes are the purpose of this movie, and they're balanced, they're all equally grandiose and interesting to watch. I can't necessarily like pinpoint one to say like this is the highlight of the movie. This is the one scene that, is flashed out the most. No, like they're all great. I feel like story-wise, it's not a very complicated movie.
Oh no, of course not.
It's really straightforward. Yeah. It's quite simple, and it could be summed up in like one sentence.
But that's where a lot of the historical inaccuracy comes in, is because they have to cut a lot of corners to make everything fit in these a bit less than 2 hours,
Well, I think that is it for our spoiler-filled discussion. Once again, do you recommend this movie?
Yeah, I would recommend it. Go out to your Blockbuster that closed and doesn't exist anymore and rent this movie. They came up with a DVD and Blu-ray of this movie. They keep re-releasing it because it's so popular. So it's not a hard movie to find. Go get it. Enjoy.
Yeah, I recommend it too. For the same reasons that I have already mentioned, I think it's a great movie to watch. Very interesting. Don't be too picky about the historical facts because it's not what this movie is about. It's just a beautiful movie to watch. So yeah, that being said, let's move on to our ranking section. So far, we only have one movie on that list, The Barretts of Wimpole Street, which right now stands majestically at number 1. Where do we place Cleopatra?
Are you asking me? I'm going first?
You're going first.
Oh, I went first the last time too. Okay. I would put Cleopatra, let's see. I would put it at number 2.
You would? You sure? Are you sure?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I'm gonna say number 2, and I'm gonna let you try to convince me otherwise. Because I feel like you're gonna say number 1.
No, I'm not going. I was also thinking
Oh,
number 2.
okay.
Yes. I think that while it's a more epic movie to watch, story-wise, is not as strong as The Barretts of Wimpole Street. And I feel like a movie to be number 1, it has to have all the elements, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is a great movie. It excels in certain areas, which in this case is cinematography and that.
Set design, yeah.
Yes. But a movie as a whole, The Barretts of Wimpole Street just does better on all the levels.
Yeah, like I just finished my spoiler conversation by saying like there's not a story element specifically that I can go back and think about and say, oh, that's the highlight of the movie. Let's talk about that scene.
A few years from now, if I think back on that movie, all I will know is just the historical elements that I already knew, because I know the story, but I won't necessarily remember maybe how this happens in the movie. I'll remember the scene.
Yeah.
You know, that great scene, the other great scene. What was the story of the movie? Like, nah.
It's the story of Cleopatra.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we said, you know, a lot of the movie's character are very hard to connect with. Is it because they're already a historical character that we know and that are grandiose? Maybe. Or maybe it's because they're portrayed in such an over-the-top way that you can't connect with them.
Yeah.
But that also brings it down, and compared to The Barretts of Wimpole Street, where you can connect with like Norma Shear or any of the other characters. Even the dad, which you learn to hate throughout the movie,
but
you still have a connection with it.
You still have
an emotional...
exactly. An emotional connection to the character.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that. I think because of that, this movie stands at number 2. Right now. So our ranking of 1934 Best Picture Academy Award Best Picture nominees as of now is at number 2 Cleopatra, and at number 1 The Barretts of Wimpole Street. That is it. 2 movies ranked until now.
That's it for now.
So that is it for our review of Cleopatra. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this video, and if you want to get notifications for our future videos, don't forget to ring the notification bell below. Also, this channel is dedicated to Rick and Mine bucket list. So it's not only movie reviews that we do here, we do a lot of different things and we make videos about all of them, like cooking and traveling and learning things.
Yes, indeed.
So many different things. There's a lot of them. You can head out to the channel page and see our playlist. So that is it for our video. Thank you so much for watching and have a nice day.